I don't know.
Okay, can you not see
I
them
don't
right now?
see
Do
the
you know
logos at the moment.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I tried to throw one of those curveball questions out there, but it's okay. We're getting into game one. This is going to be Rainmaker Black Valley Skate Park. Okay, interesting comps coming out of the side of both teams. We see the sloshing machine as well as the rapid blaster on the side of El Firmament right now.
Watson getting in there with the cheeky rushdown with the Octobrush that's taking Arm out by surprise, and now there's a 2-down situation here. It looks as though the rapid blaster managing to get the kill. That could have been very awkward if he had missed that.
Oh,
but Gray nonetheless is moving in from his side.
Okay, I thought El Firmament was a little bit out of position right there, but it looks like they were able to slow that push down. If they weren't there, that could have been very, very nasty. But no, Gray, he's just going to run it. I completely agree with that. In a situation like that where two of your teammates drop, or sorry, just one of your teammates drop, you're not really in position. You just want to run it in there, get as many points as you can. It's less than a minute into the game. You'll have plenty of time to reset that later. So 42-point push, not the biggest thing, but hey, nothing's really the biggest thing on Black Belly Rainmaker. So El Firmament has a response here. Although Ben, no, the blaster coming in from the side, able to stop the Rainmaker, and there's the splashdown warrior. We all love to see. Ben's gonna lead that. El Firmament.
It's always great. I just everyone who mains a splashdown weapons knows that they're dead in that situation. They just go for the splashdown anyway because why not?
Yeah, it's just reactionary. Like
splashdown.
Your instincts to react to their splashdown, like you have to use your splashdown to stay alive. That's what every splashdown player knows. You need to use it to stay alive. And wow, that was a double flick. Okay,
really
splashdown even needed.
Oh, never mind. There's a blast at that.
Get the lead. You see, the thing is that Ethereal there got that push like a few meters forward, but it's a 20-point difference now, and that's actually kind of crazy. El Firmament in a actually, we got this guy here in a very interesting spot. Okay, he was looking for the shark, but no, Wasden was able to take him out with that brush. And
yeah, it's one of those unfortunate situations with the rapid blaster where you don't really have anywhere to go, but you kind of have to shark the guy anyway. Yeah, we can see actually
They're going for it. They're going for it. That's 2 down now on the side of El Firmament. Wow, they touched the pedestal down to 5 points. Not able to get the knockout, but they're not done yet. They're still going. There's 2 players there. They have the armor. Oh no, but it looks like El Firmament has a lot of map control there. It's looking like they're going to try and reset the Rainmaker, if not just grab it and try and push it to the right. I think they're going for the reset here. They don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, perfectly reasonable to go for the reset here. There's no real need to pick the Rainmaker up at this stage.
Purple, the map is on just outside of their spawn. The entire map is purple. They have their work cut out for them right now. They got to deal with a 5. They need to get 4 points if they want to win this, but the entire map is purple. This is not looking too good right now for El Firmament. Ethereal is playing very, very strongly, still finding picks, even though they need to be pushing out here.
Yeah, Watson is using the Octobrush here, and I want to point out that in Splatoon 1, the Octobrush was one of those weapons on this map that was kind of underrated, or not necessarily underrated, but like people just sort of forgot that it was actually really bloody good here. Like the classic Octobrush move on this map is you go up to top mid, and then you jump on someone, and then you go back up to top mid again and keep jumping on them. Like, it's just so common with Octobrushes, and now you can see that it's actually working wonders for them here because, sorry, I'm blanking on their name. Ethereal has managed to get 3 down and started a push.
Yeah, so like it's as I said earlier in the last set, no safe on Black Valley Rainmaker no push. My bad, no push on Black Valley Rainmaker is safe. It's not safe until you get the knockout.
Yes.
Yeah, and so no safe. Yeah, exactly. You've got me covered. Thank you. And it's exactly as we see. Ethereal here, like they're not happy with a 5-point push. They know it's not safe. And actually, as we look here, El Firmament, they got paint up to the pedestal. This might be huge, although the pedestal's not painted. They need to on the side of the pedestal if they want to beat that 5-point push, because you need to be able to get closer up to the top of the pedestal there if you want that lead. And without paint on the side of it, they're not going to get it. So they need to make sure they're painting ahead here. They need to make sure they have their team in position in order to at least get a Rainmaker shot on the side of it. They need some protection there, but 13 points, very, very respectable, although right now it's not enough.
Yeah, you can kind of see the sadness of the Octobrush there, who's let someone slip away. Like, you just can't catch up to people with the Octobrush. That's kind of its main weakness. If you do happen to get away, you're just kind of screwed. But yeah, as you were saying, not enough. There was no paint on the pedestal, so it wasn't really possible for them to do anything. And yeah, it's a bit of an unfortunate situation here for El Firmament. They don't have any specials ready to go for the push that they need to make happen in the next 30 seconds. They've lost their sloshing machine as well, and their roller. So they don't really have any way to gain any ground at the moment. They need to be painting up and getting a setup ready to go, but it looks as though Ethereal's just got their number this time.
Was that a okay? The blaster battle was interesting there, but Ben's gonna win it with the range blaster, having a little bit of a small advantage over the rapid blaster in the sense that it only needs 2 hits instead of 3. And actually, Firmament, they grabbed the Rainmaker with the momentum after ending the game. That's unfortunate. They had the Rainmaker in their hands, but it was like frames too late. So unfortunately, they didn't get the overtime there. I bet they're a little bit upset about that one. I would be too. But no, Ethereal's going to take a very good game 1. They got it up to 5 points, which is a very, very nice push. And they're looking strong. Actually, both teams doing pretty good in the terms of the KA department. Double digits for one player on each side, up to 12, so they tied there. Good stuff coming out from both teams. Ethereal was able to come out on top of that one. So they're 1-0 over Firmament right now, as we're going to be moving on to game 2, which is Splat Zones on Humpback Pump Track.
Yeah, so again, we were talking about Splat Zones in the last set on this map, and how it's really easy to, like, because the map's so open, it's really easy to get like things like ballers and suction rushes and whatnot into mid. But I want to point out one thing about that last game, which is the way Ethereal got their points in the last game was by having a really, really strong push that they kept going for. Whereas the way Firmament got their points was an Octobrush lost the Rainmaker, basically. Like, the Rainmaker just sort of went past the Octobrush and then got up into the base. And that's not a push so much as a fluke, right? And that to me says that that Ethereal right now has a really big advantage in this matchup because they're making better use of those kills. The kills and assists might have been similar, but you can tell that Ethereal is being more decisive when they have the advantages, and they are making more out of the opportunities that they get. Right, and that's going to be especially. Yeah, it's going to be especially important here because on Splat Zones on this map, you basically, like, the game basically starts for you when you take the zone, because then you need to push into the enemy team's base and actually prevent them from doing the sorts of things that we saw in the Quantum versus Rising Moon matchup. I keep saying Extermination, I don't know why.
So many E's.
Yeah.
But it's exactly as you said. It's complete. It's not about how many kills you get. It's about which kills you get and what you do with them. That is going to determine the victory, especially in Rainmaker, let alone Black Blaze Skate Park. And I'm interested to see what comes out of Ethereal here. If they're going to keep that Octobrush, if that player is going to keep on the Octobrush here, Wasdom, I believe it was. The Octobrush is very interesting here. It's not the best weapon, but if you have a team that can play well with the Octobrush, it's going to be interesting. And okay, so they don't go with the Octobrush, they go with the Tri-Slosher. And the Tri-Slosher, I think is really interesting right now. When you pick the Tri-Slosher, you really need to have a reason. Because right now it's a 210 point charge on the ink armor, and it doesn't paint as well as, like, say, the NZAP, for example, which is, I believe, 180, maybe 170, I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean,
so
we aren't seeing...
It's burst bombs, it's just the ability to have that slosh. It's interesting. I like that people are still using the Tri-Slosher, not necessarily... I don't really know how much I agree with it, but they're going to try and make it work. They're going to try and prove me wrong.
Well, we aren't seeing much of that reasoning come to fruition here, as we've seen back-to-back team wipes in favor of Firmament. They're coming back out with some vengeance right now. The main thing with the Tri-Slosher, I mean, the Tri-Slosher always had that kind of thing going against it, rather, where it can't really paint, so it can't really span the armors quite as well as, say, doing your MZAP. But we can see, actually, I say Firmament had a really good control, and then really good control. They had really good control. And then suddenly,
and then Ethereal had control. What happened?
Yeah, I think Ethereal just, like, hacked into the Matrix or something and deleted them from the map or something. I don't actually know what happened. There was Firmament on the map, and then there wasn't. But now we see exactly. Yeah, we see exactly what I was talking about before, where Ethereal is getting up in Firmament's face as soon as they've got any kind of semblance of control. And now Firmament is the team that needs to fight their way back in this disadvantageous situation.
Okay, that was really interesting because Ethereal did a really, really good job, like, pushing the zone down, and actually, wow, they actually did get the lead there. Okay, disregard my last comment. They got the lead there, and there's still no penalty on the board. They're still in control here. They're down one player. It's a 3v3 in the middle of the map. Now a 2v2. Now a 2v1. Just the Brella left as Okay, Ethereal, they still have control somehow. This Ink Storm doing wonders for them, grabbing them extra points. It's just so weird. Firmament is all over the zone, but they can't take it. This is ridiculous. What's happening? There's 4 of them here. They cannot capture the zone. Finally, it's going to be going into their control, and they're going to lose 2, 3 members because of it, maybe 4. And wow, Ethereal right now is looking unstoppable despite getting penalized in the middle of that fight. That was crazy.
That Brella was channeling Mary Poppins or something there, because that was some magical play right there with just staying alive in like a 1v3 situation, getting the Ink Storm off, keeping the zone neutral, and then suddenly Firmament's back on the back foot yet again. They can't, like, they got their advantage, but they were sort of pushed back into their base when they were trying to make things happen. And now we see, even as Firmament's starting to get picks, Ethereal just has the setup ready to go. They're pushing back in from, like, they're already in mid, basically. That having been said, Firmament seems to be taking a bit more of a decisive... Never mind, the sloshing machine does go down here. So, yeah, once again, Ethereal being really aggressive with these holds. Like, you can see the map is painted orange well into Firmament's base right now.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, Ethereal is doing such a good job holding the objective and holding the map, and Firmament's actually able to find ways into that. Like, they can find ways to get behind Ethereal, they can find ways to get picks. Although, in the grand scheme of things, it looks like it's not really doing too much. Like, Ethereal's still doing such a good job holding this lead. Again, they had like a 70-point penalty there almost, and they just went completely through it. Like, they've just about won the game twice right now. And there it is, knockout. So they had huge total control over the map and over the zone, and Ethereal is going to make that a quick 2-0. Really, really strong play right then. Like, again, there was so much stuff flying at the zone from 4 different members of Firmament, and Ethereal was able to keep the zone in the midst of all of that. So that was really interesting. Really, really strong play from them. Firmament, unfortunately, that's got to be a little bit tilting when you have that much stuff going at the zone and you still can't take it. That just sounds frustrating to me. So good stuff from Ethereal, able to take that. It's now 2-0 as we move on to tower control Port Mackerel.
Yeah, and I gotta say, again, you could really see, like, especially on the ending screen just before, where the map was orange. Like, the entire map, all the way up into Firmament's base, was orange, because every time Ethereal got any kind of control, they had a splatter shot just hopping up onto the grates and going into the Firmament courtyard. The only time Firmament did that was after the double team wipe at the start of the game. And, like, it took them a double team wipe to get that kind of control, whereas Ethereal were just going for it. They were gunning it for Firmament's base. They didn't care about the zone. The zone was just sort of in the way. They were painting it incidentally on the way to spawn camping Firmament, and that's I know this is sort of a thing that I constantly do, but like that's what makes the Japanese team so damn strong at Splatstones, is that's how they play it. The zone doesn't mean anything. They just sort of push and take your base, and the zone just is behind them after that point.
They're just like, I'm gonna go push their base and spawn camp them, and I guess I'll get the zone along the way. Sure, why not?
So, yeah, that having been said, we're moving on to Port Mackerel Tower Control. This is the last stand here for Firmament. We'll have to see if they can make the adaptations that they need in order to deal with this aggression from Ethereal. We've got Ben moving up with the Vanilla Blaster. Actually, something I've noticed with this comp, all 3 of these games, I believe, has had a Disruptor weapon for Ethereal. Which is something...
Toxic Mist has kind of gotten, like, a really weird treatment in the life of Splatoon 2. Before the game came out, they looked at Toxic Mist and they're like, oh my god, it's broken. That's going to be so strong. And then the game came out and put it into practice. It wasn't really that amazing. But Ethereal seem to be doing a good job actually using it, and using it to their advantage here.
This push is...
They might just be using it to splashdown, honestly.
Well, that's true as well. But at the same time, you can kind of... That's the thing. You can kind of see the defense there from Firmament was quite solid. They did get a couple of people down. The sting around tower was enough to keep them from getting any kind of ground on the second checkpoint. Sorry, the first checkpoint, the all-important first checkpoint. Basically, that first checkpoint is sort of the big... difference maker in this matchup, because like once you've taken that first checkpoint, it turns the push through court, as we see actually a 4v1 situation developing here. But this court presence is going to have to be very prolonged, I guess, because of this checkpoint. It takes such a long time for the checkpoint to tick down that it's like you have to actually hold the court for such a long time. And you can really see how, because they have to set up so sort of thoroughly, it's really easy for Firmament to sort of catch them as they're trying to set that up, and they can't really get anything out of it.
I'd like to point out the MVP, the most valuable player right now on the side of Firmament, is the Autobomb. Doing a good job, getting a lot of really good picks. Really solid effort from that player, doing some good stuff here. Firmament, no, they've got a decent push here, like, despite how strong Ethereal's been playing right now. They only got 61 points, and Firmament was actually able to contest that very, very closely, although not getting it quite as far as they wanted to after that first checkpoint. Firmament, this is interesting, because I definitely think they have what it takes to beat this 61-point lead. The only question is, can they do it?
Yeah, you can kind of see the problem with pushing through court on this map is it works both ways. Firmament needs to do the same kind of setup in order to push through court, but again, and you can see like the aggression from Ethereal is they're going in, and quite often they are indeed feeding. But the thing is that they're going in, but they're forcing Firmament to play from their side of the map rather than trying to play from mid. And that means that the follow-through on the pushes is a lot weaker as a result. And you can really see how that's coming into play right now, because now Firmament is trying to push into a whole bunch of specials on the part of Ethereal.
Yeah, Ethereal did a very, very good job actually defending that push. They reacted to the push that was happening. They knew they were moving the tower, and now they had the Stingray just back it up, and they kept the Stingray alive. And tower control, especially on forward macro, is all about reacting to the enemy's pushes, making sure you can keep your Stingray alive. I don't think I need to explain why the Stingray is so important in the current meta, and it's just all about that. And Ethereal did a good job reacting.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see this, I'm not sure I agree with this Stingray, it's a little bit early for that, but nonetheless, it seems as though Ethereal, contrary to the last couple of games, is quite content to basically just hole up and not really... They're playing a lot more measured, I guess, this time around. They aren't rushing the enemy team's spawn as they were in the last two games, and even now, they didn't really go down any players, but they also didn't make anything of it, so... yeah, it's a bit of an unusual situation here. It's, no... Oh, actually, as I say that, the blaster goes in, and now Ethereal actually has a 3v3 situation with armor ready to go. They've got two specials as well. Can they make anything of it this time?
Okay, so Gray was able to find a pick there, but he's going to get closed in. Very good call-ups from the side of Firmament right now. They're going to be looking for some more picks. This roller doing what they can, but unfortunately not able to fight the splatter shot. Maybe there's... Okay, both splashdowns going to be essentially wasted there, which is not what you're looking for when you're on an offensive. Less than 15 seconds left in the game. That Stingray is going to come in huge. They're going to get it to Stevie 1, and that's going to be 4 players down, and a very clean ending to the game for Ethereal, as Firmament's going to be... They're going to have no chance of coming back from this one now. So Ethereal, quick 3-0 onto Firmament. Can't say I expected that one, but no, Ethereal played very, very strongly against what Firmament had to throw at them, and definitely did a very good job in this set. Ethereal's going to be moving on to play Quantum in the winners finals, as Firmament is going to be dropping into the losers quarterfinals to now play Team Olive. And if I am correct, I think we are moving on to the losers quarterfinals matches next on stream. I'm going to get confirmation on that really quickly. That is what we're doing. Okay, fantastic. No, that was good. Like, it's exactly as you said on the first game. Firmament was able to find kills. They just weren't able to do as much with them as Ethereal did. Like, Ethereal, they worked with momentum well. They were able to get those pushes going, and it was just something Firmament struggled with. It's completely as you said. The reason they got such a good push on Rainmaker, the first Rainmaker match, well, I guess the only Rainmaker match, was because Ethereal pushed into them and they were able to pop the bubble, and you know it was just in their hands already. That's why they ran with it. But it's exactly as you said. They just weren't able to do as much with the kills. Ethereal did such a good job working with momentum. They would find one pick and then they would immediately make that 2 and then 3 and then possibly 4 in most cases. And that's just why they were so powerful in these sets.
Yeah, and you could see toward the end in in Port Mackerel, Ethereal did let off the let off the accelerator there a little bit, but you could also see that Firmament didn't take advantage of that. Even though every now and then, obviously, there would be a couple people like pushing in from either team, Firmament never really got a proper push together. There was never really a sense that it actually gained control or gained ground or anything like that. It always felt as though they were pushing the tower, sort of against the flow, I guess. Whereas the one time that Ethereal got a push together, they were pushing the tower through their own territory, right? And it was only because the checkpoint is so difficult to pass on that map that they fell short and didn't really make the same kind of push that they did in the previous 2 games. But I mean, going forward here, it looks as though in the winners' finals it's going to be a very interesting matchup, because Quantum is actually the opposite of that. They are very, very good at making those kinds of coordinated, aggressive pushes, as they did in their set against Rising Moon. The thing is, though, they start out slow, so that means that the aggressive... you could see throughout those games that Ethereal had their openings down. And a lot of the time, they, aside from the port map, what am I saying? Second map, the pump track game where they went into a full team wipe, the openings from Ethereal were putting them into really good situations, and they were capitalizing on it, which against Quantum is going to be really interesting to see. Quantum is going to have to hold their ground a lot better than they did in the Rising Moon set if they want to challenge Ethereal.
Awesome. So, guys, we are going to be moving on